is Amber, and this is the story of how God changed my life. Ever since I was young, I can remember being very angry and sad. I was a horrible child. I was a horrible daughter to my parents. I would destroy my room, kick holes in their walls, etc. When I was 13, I started using meth and smoking pot and would run away all the time. When I was 15, I was sent to a home for incorrigible girls in Arizona. I ran away for 2 months, just long enough to know that I was kicked out of that home and that my parents had to let me come back to their home. I was literally the child from hell. My mother had come to terms with the fact that I would die in my addiction, and she even took out a life insurance policy on me so that she could afford to pay for my burial. And now when I look back, I feel horrible at how badly I treated my parents, yet I'm so grateful that I'm no longer that person today. The best way to make amends to them is to continue on the path that I'm on now. My stepdad and I couldn't stand each other, and today he is one of my biggest supporters. That alone is a huge milestone. I pushed my parents to the point where they were just done. Tough love was the answer, and I was on my own. At 19, I accepted Jesus in my life and quit using. At 20, I gave birth to my oldest daughter, Aaliyah. I had another child named Maya 3 years later. At 2 months old, she passed away. The night she passed away, I told God I was done with him. I made a conscious decision that I was no longer serving him. My life had now turned into what I believe was my own personal hell. Her death brought me close to the edge of insanity. My older daughter, Aaliyah, who was 3 at the time, went to stay with my stepsister, who decided I should have no contact with my child because they believed I abused her. My stepsister and her husband ended up adopting my daughter, promising me that when she asked to be with me, they would give her back. With both my daughters gone, I literally went crazy from grief. Now I had been pushed over the edge and was completely lost mentally and emotionally. I've always suffered from bipolar disorder, anxiety, and depression. I began using drugs heavily to escape the pain of this loss. I blamed myself for what happened to my daughters, and I just wanted to die. At this point, I am completely homeless. For the next 11 years, I continue on this roller coaster of drugs, homelessness, brief periods of clean time, and false hope. I was in and out of jail countless times. I couldn't even tell you how many. And I have been in various treatment programs. I would go in with the intention of staying clean to get my daughter back in my life. But every time my stepsister seemed to find a reason to cut me off, and that was always my excuse to go back out and use again. During this time, I met staff members and volunteers from Kingdom Causes Bellflower on the street. The volunteers made us lunches and dinners, and even brought me shoes and toiletries if that's what I needed. I remember a blanket that I loved that a volunteer had made. One time when I was in jail, I lost it, and when I got out, they brought me another one. I couldn't believe the love and faithfulness they showed us. I moved around between living on the riverbed and the side of the freeway and stints in jail. I remember 2 days before going to my last visit to LA County Jail, Kimberly Barnett came over to the side of the 91 freeway and asked me to come out of the tent that I lived in. She hugged me, and I don't remember the actual words she said, but I remember feeling so ashamed. I didn't want her to see me because I was so high. I remember her praying for me, and I believe 2 days later, God answered that prayer. God's answer to that prayer was having me arrested. Let me correct myself, I was rescued. When I was in jail in 2013, I hit a turning point with God. I was trying to barter with him in prayer about getting out. Very clearly, I heard a voice say, "Why do you make promises to me you don't intend on keeping?" That voice was right, and I knew I had to make a change. The night I knew I was going to get released, I asked my bunkmate to pray with me. I was scared. And I believe that's why God opened the door for me to go to Little House through the efforts of my friend Sammy. I started the program at Little House on June 21st, 2013, only 12 hours after being released from jail. While I was there, I did a lot of work and made a choice to let myself heal. I was able to share openly about my daughter's death and receive support from the other women in the program. It all started with gratitude. I was grateful for a bed, shower, and food. Grateful that I was around people I could trust. As my attitude changed, I changed. It was like night and day. Everything that was negative in my life turned into a positive. My relationship with God deepened during this time as well. He kept showing me how he would do miracles in my life if I was obedient to him, and he did do miracles. Before I graduated Little House, my daughter ended up going to stay with my parents in Utah. My stepsister and her biological father, I feel, abandoned her. My stepsister had intentions of giving her up as ward to the state. My parents didn't allow that to happen. My parents have been so supportive throughout my recovery, and that is when I was able to start talking to her on the phone daily. I was reconnected with Kingdom Causes and Kimberly Barnett at this point. I started going to Celebrate Recovery and attending church and small groups at Calvary Baptist Bellflower. Kimberly Barnett baptized me on April 11, 2014, and I rededicated my life to God. I graduated Little House in October of 2013. I got a job and began taking care of myself. After I landed in the hospital with pneumonia and heart failure in February of last year, Kim Barnett helped me get into the sober living facility at Little House, and then helped me begin the process of being reunified with my daughter. She came to stay with me for a week of her spring break, and in June 2014, my parents brought her to live with me for good. I was granted full guardianship of Aaliyah November 26, 2014. Thanksgiving, and I feel that was very appropriate. After that, I was able to move into Margaret's house to get some stability with my daughter while continuing to work and figure out permanent housing situation. Kingdom Causes helped with a lot of the court work so that I could keep my job and advocated for me to receive resources that would allow me to have a place of my own. While I was at Margaret's house, Becky helped me with a budget to figure out my goals and to work on mine and Aaliyah's relationship. She and the rest of the team connected me to a resource to move out. And then I did a lot of work to make sure, sorry, not I, it was them too, to make sure that I would be in a place that would be a good fit for me and Aaliyah. I was blessed by so many people from my church, Kingdom Causes, and Path. I was given furniture to fill my new place, and it really feels like a home now. I can't believe that we have a place of our own. Plus, in the end, instead of having one caseworker, I ended up with the entire Kingdom Causes Our Housing Solutions team. Each and every one of them has played an important role in helping me reach my goals, from helping me with rent to secure a temporary place to live, to a housing voucher, to affordable rent at Margaret's house so I could afford to get my car fixed, to transportation to appointments, to doing a lot of running back and forth for me so that I wouldn't have to take time off from work. The things that these people have done to help me and my child have a chance at a better life amaze me. And I honestly don't know how I could have done any of this without them. These are people who go above and beyond to help those who truly want to help themselves. Yet another gift from God. My life is proof that change is possible. I am no longer that sad, angry, spiteful, lost, hopeless girl. I am full of joy and gratitude. I honestly can't remember being this happy at any point in my life until now. I have become a woman of integrity. I am accountable, honest, loving, compassionate, employable, and I'm so full of hope. I've been blessed in so many ways, so now I'm trying to help the people that I used to be on the streets with. A few of my friends that I used to use drugs with now go to meetings with me on a regular basis. I even sponsor one of them, and I am able to help them in a way that so many people help me. I have a strong foundation on which my life has been built, and I know God gave me this foundation. God has truly transformed my life in miraculous ways, and I believe the best is yet to come.